Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week is a very special week for me and also should be for literally everybody else. It's a
We're all
national holiday.
celebrating.
It
That's
should
true.
be a bank holiday. Everybody should be off so they could celebrate it properly, which is give me attention all the time.
Yes,
And
Yeah,
that is
I agree.
that's my plan.
it's Sydneypalooza. And here's the thing.
Sydneypalooza.
What do you bring to a birthday party? What does everybody want? Oh, I love that.
For you. Should I?
Oh my God, sis.
People would think it's my
You
birthday
should-
if I put it on, but
You shouldn't wear it, but you should
Yeah.
pass it to her metaphorically.
Yeah.
It is a birthday
here,
hat.
take it.
Wow, she's wearing it in the
Pretend
theater
that
of our
I'm
mind.
Oh my
Wow,
god! If
you
anybody
look
can't
gorgeous in
see it, they should go
gold.
to the doctor and check their eyes because it's there.
It's on
there.
her.
It's literally there. But what does one need to have a good, proper birthday? Does anybody know?
I have a guess.
I have a guess, but I don't think that everyone would agree with you.
Is it a clown?
It's a clown. That's my guess. Birthday clown.
Birthday clown.
I have so many friends with the clown phobia, so they would kill you just for saying that.
Well, I think this clown specifically would be a hit
Trigonophobia?
at all the parties.
Oh yeah, he's a party boy.
People would love. I think famously people do love. So
Famously, people do love. Okay, so we are doing Terrifier, the original one. Well, not the original, but the first movie. Well, not even the first movie.
Not
His
the
first
first
standalone
leg.
movie. And the clown in question is Art the Clown. Also,
Yay.
Art.
Monica, you've been out of the country, but Chelsea, you're chronically online. Have you seen what Spirit Halloween did recently? Where
With art?
they had the actor who plays Art. What is his name?
David Thornton Howard.
Yes. They had
Oh, slayed
him.
it.
David Howard
Thornton. Yes.
Oh, half sleigh.
Partial,
slay.
minute slay.
I would say
Uh,
3/4 sleigh.
But they had David Howard Thornton dress up as Art and go stand in like a Spirit Halloween and pretend to be
Nope.
one of the like animatronics
no,
as it
no.
like was actually like
That's-
jumped out at
That's
people.
tough. That's tough.
I
would die.
I
I would
would
die.
love that.
This is
Scary.
oh my god.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't like it.
I would
don't know if
definitely
I'm
not
having a
like
good
it.
time at this Spirit Halloween.
I don't know.
starting to
I
like
think I'm
this
starting to like this Spirit Halloween.
Oh dear god.
That's when you kiss Art the Clown. Actually, I'm starting to like
Actually, I
this.
think I'm starting to like this Spirit Halloween. Okay, but
He's
if you
got really
haven't
sexy
seen-
cheekbones.
I know.
Right?
And he's got a big nose, and I love a man with a big nose.
Mhm.
Yes.
What's not to love?
What's
Okay,
not to love?
but if you haven't seen I don't know why I wanted to call it Terrorizer, but it's Terrifier.
Well,
Well,
that would make sense.
either way, if you haven't seen it, according to IMDb, this movie is about a maniac named Art the Clown terrorizes two friends on Halloween and everyone
you
who
wanna
gets
call it
in
that.
his way. And honestly, great description. Because
That does kind of sum the
Yeah,
whole thing up.
yeah,
That's
there's,
it.
there's
And
no
that's the
real plot
episode.
in this movie. We're
Mhm.
done. We
Yeah.
don't have to talk about it. That's the movie.
That's
On to
the
next week.
movie.
Do I get to announce what we're doing?
And that's it. Our shortest
And
episode
we're
ever.
done.
Yeah, I mean, so I mentioned this at the end of the last episode, but like I've been not down to like see this movie for years and years and years because it seems like it would be exactly the type of movie that I would really fucking hate just from the vibes I was getting, And then I watched All Hallows Eve Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
think so.
the like anthology horror
Anthology.
movie that has Art the Clown in it. Not the original Art the Clown thing, so I found out there was a short film that I don't know the name of. Oh, it's right here.
Is it just called Terrifier?
No,
There's a
one's the one.
2011 short called Terrifier.
Yeah, there's a 2011. Oh,
The lore goes
there's
deep on
something
this,
called,
as I discovered.
yeah, there's something called The Ninth Circle also.
That's right.
Yeah, so I didn't look into that much, but I was just getting the vibe I was getting was like torture-y. It was giving
It's
like
torture
torture
porn.
porn a little bit, like schlocky, no plot, blah 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 blah. But sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't, and so I had avoided it like the plague. But then I knew, I see it all the time. I see it fucking everywhere.
Sure. He's a new horror
Everywhere.
classic, new horror icon.
Yeah.
And Sydney and I were at Midsummer Scream, and he was literally Art the Clown was literally everywhere. Like I would
Everywhere.
say, I don't know if I was just looking out for it, but like I noticed so many Art the Clown like shirts that people were wearing, not just being sold, that like people who are already there were wearing. And I was like, what the hell, that this is like as
Had
big of a
popped off as much, yeah.
percentage of the crowd as I'm seeing like Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and Jason. Like he's up there with
Yeah.
Well, we
them all.
mentioned when we were introducing this that the trailer for Terrifier 3 is like, Art the Clown is practically as big of a star as
Yeah.
Michael Myers, etc. Which, like, I guess so, girl.
No, it's crazy.
Art gives you both of what a lot of the horror like big hitters do,
Sure.
where he is like the silent killer. This man makes not a single sound
No
in this
peeps.
whole movie, but he is very animated and funny, like, and he's
I put
a
in my
really goofy
notes.
guy like Freddy or even
Yeah.
Chucky too. Like,
Yeah. I
so
think
Yeah.
this is Freddy meets Michael Myers.
yes,
But giving
100%.
plot structure of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
yes,
Yeah, but that's even giving more credit to this
Credit.
movie than it deserves in some ways. In some ways, there's a lot of great things about it. I wouldn't say the plot is one of those.
There
We've
is
already
no
touched
plot.
on- There is
There
no
is
plot.
no
There
plot.
is no plot.
There's not a single plot point in this entire movie, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, because like this movie does not need a plot. You get so much plot in the second one. You get a whole extra
I was
hour
gonna say, it
of
seems
plot.
like the other ones do more plot just based on the trailer for Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
But
I
I haven't
will
watched those
say-
ones yet.
When we were at Midsummer Scream, just to finish this idea, we were at Midsummer
Yes.
Scream, we saw all this shit, and then we were like, well, we gotta fucking watch it, because we
You have to
can't
know what
be
it was
here.
about.
We can't be at this place apparently without having seen Terrifier. So we went home. We had been having some drinks. We had been having some substances, and we watched it, and I had a fucking great time.
Yeah.
I had a blast. We had a hoot, we had a holler. It was a Friday night with Sydney on my couch watching Terrifier, and it was great. And then I watched it again today at 5 o'clock in the morning because I'm jet lagged in my bed while Adam was asleep next to me. Does not hit like that. Gotta say, it really does not hit in that setting. 5 o'clock in the morning, but very, very dark. Your cat clawing at you the whole time because she's mad you woke her up. Like,
Sure.
I think this is a watch with friends movie. So if you're one of those people who haven't watched the movie yet and you're listening to this podcast, I think
Definitely watch
setting
with a group.
really helps. Yeah, I feel like watching this in the theater would be so fucking fun. And so that makes me want to go to the theater to watch Terrifier 3.
Yeah, well, they were
really
like
want to
playing
do
all of them in the
Terrifier
theater
3.
again. So they were doing like 1 and 2 in the theater again, so that people could like get in the. I mean, like you guys are saying, it really popped off. This franchise is one of the big franchises now, sort of.
Yeah.
It's a
And so
big indie.
they're getting people hype. But we are actually recording on the night that they're doing a lot of those. So I don't know that we're gonna be able to make it into the theater for 1 or 2 replay. But 3, we could.
Yeah,
we
3
could
for
do that on
us
the
right
big
now
screen.
comes out tonight. So I
Yeah.
want to go see it. I plan on seeing it on the big screen.
Me too.
Was Terrifier 2016, was it a theatrical release?
I think it was a limited release.
Yeah.
Because I saw in the awards section on IMDb that it was like nominated for best limited release at a festival. But I don't know like how limited or where. Like, I didn't research the budget of this movie that much. It looks pretty low budge. But also it's not like they didn't have anything established before this. So like I don't really know what the vibes are. I haven't seen All Hallows Eve. I haven't seen any of the shorts.
Yeah.
I just watched this movie. Because you guys said I didn't really need to watch All Hallows Eve, and I was like, okay, well, I
No.
won't.
Yeah, you don't.
No,
In
you
watching
don't.
this
The
one,
budget was $35,000 to $55,000.
okay, so low budge.
Really, really low budget. Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched a very interesting hour-long interview with the director. Oh, Damien Leone.
Starts with an
Leone.
L.
Leone. Great name, Damien
That
Leone.
is a
And he
great
has a
name.
fun accent. Maybe from
Where's he
New
from?
Jersey.
Oh,
Is he from New Jersey? I don't know.
that
I'm gonna
sounds
fact
right
test
for
that.
freak
I'm gonna
clown
fact
movie
test
vibe.
that. But yeah, it was really interesting to hear like all of how this came to be. It was nobody wanted to make this movie, even though people were really intrigued by Art the Clown. Like when he first did his first short, which I didn't even know existed until earlier today. People were really like saw something in that, or they absolutely didn't. They were like,
Well,
nobody's scared of a fucking clown. And again, how many friends do I have that have the clown phobia? A lot of fucking friends. I didn't get it until I saw this movie. Pennywise doesn't scare me that much, so I guess that's why.
I love clowns. Oh, hold on. I'll show you. I only have a little bit.
what's she gonna
Ooh.
show us, I wonder?
You only have a little bit of what? A clown?
I only have a little bit of clown collection.
Yes. So
Oh,
my
Tiny
grandma
tchotchke?
used to she decided when me and my brother were little,
Uh-huh.
my grandma loved the circus. We had family members back in the day that
Look at
were
Ninja
like
Dog.
circus
carnies.
people. Nice.
And so we had like vaudeville and carnies that were like family. And so when I was born, my grandma collected little like clown porcelain figurines.
Oh, those are cute.
Beautiful.
And there used to be so much more, but we've moved and a lot broke. But I mean, she had like a giant wall of shelves full of nothing but clown porcelain
Hold her
figurines.
up so I can look at her.
Wow.
Yeah, I needed that close up because I couldn't tell the face was on the bottom from far away.
And then you have this cutie little.
Can you do the makeup influencer? Beautiful.
That's so funny.
Hold on.
I feel that, Sydney, I wish I had pictures,
Oh, I
but
love him.
in my dad's office, he has like a clown shrine area that's like 7 like really big. They're like Barbie size
Yes.
porcelain clowns, and they're all together. Love
Vintage,
that. I like it. Actually, I do.
vintage
Well,
clowns.
Dad.
I love. I've thought about doing
Modern
like
day clowns, not slay.
Well, and here's the thing also. I am a juggalette. I'm actually super devastated that Insane Clown Posse is going to be in Birmingham on my birthday, and I will not be
You're gonna
here.
be out of town because you
Oh,
want to be with
that'd be
us for your
so
birthday.
fun.
I'm devastated, but like also
We'll have to invent time travel.
exactly. Also, did you know that if you are a clown, you have to register your
Yes.
clown makeup
Yes.
because there
You
can
painted
be
on a little egg.
and there can't be like more than one. I love
No
that.
duplicates.
Me too.
Everybody
I
has
think
to be
that
unique.
is so. I think I love the lore with clowns. I
clowns.
just think it's so interesting, and that's why I do love Art in and of himself, like his mannerisms and everything. I love that Art is like a clown and a mime clown specifically.
Mhm.
Because like in this interview that I listened to, Damien Leone was like going on and on about how like there hadn't been a clown in a while. That was scary. So it was time for a
Sure.
clown again. And he was like, but it can't be like Pennywise. So he really thought of him as like a foil to Pennywise, where Pennywise was loud and colorful and talking to you and saying all these creepy things and has this little weird voice. Like Art the Clown was going to be like the opposite of that. It was going to be more hands-on, silence, and no color at all, like completely void of color. And he's got
And
a
no
tiny
hair.
little fucking hat. Yes.
But honestly, Art's body is tea a little bit. So
Oh yeah. He's kind of ripped, which was alarming to discover later in the film. I have a thought about that scene too, but
I
it's
also
too
thought
early
about
to
that
talk
scene.
about.
I bet it's similar to your thought.
Uh-huh, yeah, 100%. It's a perfect movie to be doing right now. But yeah, I also, it's too bad that there is no plot because I really like Tara a lot. I think she's so cool and I think she is beautiful and I'm
Wait, have
obsessed
you
with.
seen Terrifier 2 or not yet?
I saw Terrifier 2, but we saw it the next night and that
Okay.
was a rough night for Monica because
Monica slept through a lot of it.
I slept through
Okay.
a lot of it as a trauma response because I had a scare with a family member and I thought that they died like a couple hours
It was a whole
before.
thing.
It was the whole thing. It was very traumatic second day of Midsummer Scream. And so my Money was tuckered out. So she slept through 90% of it. But the parts that I saw, I was like, what the fuck? What's going on? Like in this interview again with Damien Leone, he was like, yeah, like the first one had no plot and you knew nothing about Art at all, except like we kind of made it supernatural at the end. So
Yeah.
decided to
I
really
saw something that said
lean
there's
heavily into the fantasy elements
yeah.
in Terrifier 2. And what I was conscious for, I was like, Lord Christ, where are we?
I saw that All Hallows Eve has like a suggestion that Art the Clown is to some degree supernatural in nature. Again, I haven't seen that, so I don't know if that's right, but I saw that it was like in the previous setup lore, and then they didn't really touch on it in Terrifier, other than sort of like the implied circle back. But like they're not confirming anything one way or another with this movie just because they're not like laying out anything in that way. And then obviously there's more movies, so you can kind of, but I didn't know what
if
his deal was like,
I
Mason style or whatever, you know.
if I recall correctly, because it's been a while since I've seen All Hallows Eve, and I didn't want to watch it again for this
Yeah,
because
very fair.
I did not fuck with it. I did not fuck with
I
that movie at
recall.
all. That was not for me. That one like is the torture porn shit, but then it's not as fun as Terrifier is, at least for me. And I watched it again by myself, so I don't think that these movies, if you're not into that sort of thing, are good to watch
Yeah.
without a group. It kind of like for me sucks. I don't know. It's just like I need to be like ha 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 with my friend when I'm seeing these type of things. But in All Hallows Eve, the idea I think is like they're watching a tape and then like it comes alive kind of vibes. Not the Ring quite, but
Kind of
like
giving
they
VHS
sort of, but they're watching like a movie. Let me look up the plot while we continue on to fact check myself on that.
Yeah.
But they're like these kids at home. I remember the beginning one, and they like get a VHS maybe in their trick or treat bag, and they start watching it, and then they're like, what the fuck? This is super fucked up, and like they turn it off, but then they watch it again later, and it's something with that is related to Art and him like becoming real. So I'll look into it right now to fact check, but that I think that's the supernatural aspect that you're talking about, where like, are the tapes real? Are they not? Like, is he tied to the tapes? And then they drop that completely for Terrifier.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking could be the supernatural aspect.
While you're Googling, to speak to the experience of watching the movie, I watched it last night by myself. I tried to give it its best shot by having a little something to chill out, putting a movie on. It was dark, it was nighttime. And like, I don't know, I wasn't scared. It wasn't like scary in that sense. I did like jump at one jump scare just because I was like expecting it to be a jump scare in a different way. And so it got me. And it was like after I watched the movie, I was like, I really hope this doesn't stay with me and give me Art the Clown dreams, because I would really like to not have that. Um, but it was one of those things where it's like, I see what the appeal here is, and I see why people would be into this. And I can imagine that it might be more fun to watch with friends because parts of it are camp and parts of it are outlandish. And sometimes it's like, oh, yes, of course, he has a gun now. Why wouldn't he have a gun? You know what I mean? Like,
That was
yeah, I
so
Oh my God.
funny.
right. So like there are those little moments like that where I can see like you're watching in a crowd or with a friend or whatever, where it's like you laugh or like you look at it like you have a moment of connection over watching movie. You know what I mean? So like I could see how that would be a fun experience. And again, I see what the appeal is for people who like it. I don't think it's like a bad movie or badly done, but it's not necessarily a movie that I would be into on my own. But there are things to pull out here for sure.
I think one of the things that, again, from this interview that I listened to that Damien mentioned was that, like, because they didn't have, there's like a true indie movie, they didn't have any backers at that time. I think like he finally just like found a guy who had money who was like, hell yeah, I'm into that clown. Fuck yeah. Can I like watch you do the makeup? Because that's another cool thing. Like Damien Leone is like trained in the special effects makeup stuff. So
Mm.
like he wanted to like pursue
Yeah, the
that, and then
practical effects are cool.
yeah, practical
Mhm.
effects are really, really cool. Um, but yeah, I think that he was kind of trying to be like so not anti-establishment. This is like the other day. No, I can't say that joke yet. This is like when I misused anarchist the other day, Sydney.
Oh, that was so funny.
Anyway, sorry, that's a joke for later on in our schedule.
That's a later joke.
That's later pigeon pin for when we do a certain movie in the future. That's actually pretty soon. But basically he was like trying to be so like anti establishment of what you would expect in a movie
Yeah.
at all, you know. So he was like, I'm gonna do gore that you could never fucking do in a studio movie ever. They would never let
They wouldn't
you
let you.
do that. He specifically mentioned the part where the booty cheeks part. We'll get there. Like that you could never do that in one of those movies. And then I think he also like leaned into that like plot wise too, where he's like,
Yeah.
when you can never have a movie that has no plot like this one does, but you also would never have a movie where like, in my opinion, jumping to the middle of the movie, art like breaks the fucking rules. Like it's been done before, but they kill your final girl in the middle of the movie. Literally exactly halfway through the movie, they kill your final girl. They shoot her in the face 40 times. Thank you for that.
She does get
Damien.
murked.
Thank
She
you
does.
so
But
much.
did anybody for like 1 minute go like, wait, but maybe they're still subverting my expectations because her face kind of looks like it could be the face from the other part.
I think that's what
And
they were trying to do. Yeah,
yeah.
was
Yeah.
to be like,
I
oh,
hopped around a couple different times being like, I think it's going to be this person, but are they just trying to make me think it's going to be that person because it's really going to be this person? But we can discuss that more once we've discussed all the different ladies.
yeah. But yeah, I think like he was trying so hard to like not trying so hard. I'm not trying to be mean, but like he was going so anti-establishment to
Yeah.
like leave
Mhm.
the leave the formula of filmmaking that it was like too far away for me at times.
Yeah, I
Um,
was watching it and I was like, I think part of this is that it's so low budge. And also part of this is like, you could never make a movie like this if you were getting any kind of studio notes. Like the executives would be like, where's the story? What's the journey? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Which is like,
yeah.
maybe some movies need that. But maybe it is like an interesting I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre really was like my touch point in that regard. Obviously, those characters are like slightly more fully formed in some ways, and they are giving you some degree of like character arc and journey with the family by telling you like what their deal is, whereas like with Art you don't know anything about his deal. But it
I
is
think
just
also
like the
like the
experience of the attack and the
cinematography.
chase and well, yeah.
I think that film is like an art film for me now that I've had my Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't know, 180 that I had when we finally covered it. But like that one has like the cinematography is telling a beautiful story and it's an art film in
Yeah.
that way. There's so much more going on that there isn't necessarily here. I think
It's
the
not always
real
about what's happening in the movie there. Sometimes it's like this what's on the screen.
yeah, and the perspective and all of that with the camera. But I think with this movie, what it's bringing to the table is that subversion, that like balls to the wall fucking gore that is really fucking cool. It was cool. It was very cool. It's hard to watch. That's the point, I guess. It's fun with friends. But by yourself as a woman, it's not fun.
Okay, I will
As
say,
a woman, why is that relevant?
As a woman.
I'm gonna say something so problematic right
Okay,
now.
go
Okay.
off, queen.
I just want to say that this situation would never happen to me because I would have drunk drove. I'm just saying.
She said the same thing the first time we watched it.
I'm just saying this situation would have never happened to my ass.
This
You know,
situation,
I can't say I didn't have that thought while I was watching.
that's exactly what she said when we first watched it. This situation would happen to me because I'm all about the slice of pizza when you're drunk late at night. I am
Sure.
all about that shit. But actually, no, this wouldn't have happened to me because I would have paid for the Uber. I would have just been like, let's get the fuck out of here,
I was
bro.
like,
I'm not waiting. I'm not
Uber was
waiting an
around in
hour.
2016. And also,
Yeah.
I have AAA.
There was Uber in 2016.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Uber
no,
was
she did,
around in
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
2016. I have AAA. I would have called somebody and been like, fix my tire.
Yeah. I mean, let's get into it with these girls. I would kill fucking Dawn. I would kill Dawn because if I was scared of a man and Dawn was being like that, girl, oh my god, that is a scary fucking man. He is very creepy.
Yeah, Don
And he's
was not
followed you to
picking
the
up
pizza store?
the creep
Bye.
vibes.
Yeah, Dawn was
She-
not dialed into that. And it feels so, I mean, obviously we know we're watching movie. So we know what we're watching. We have genre awareness, but it's one of
Still.
those things where it's like sometimes I was walking with my friends one time from a place to another place as one walks. And we got like somebody shouted at us from a car and I shouted back and I was like, fuck off, or I don't know, whatever. And it's one of those things where it's like sometimes you're like, yeah, I shout back. Nobody shout at me. Don't tell me blah 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 blah. And then sometimes your friend is like, that person could have a gun. Why would you do that? Don't you know what I mean? So it's like in normal life, sometimes you shout back and sometimes you don't shout back, and sometimes you have
Yeah.
various reasons or various vibes that influence different behavior. So like I can see how Dawn is like, if we just like give the finger basically, you know what I mean, that'll accomplish what we need to accomplish, which is like stop fucking with us or we're gonna fuck with you. But yeah, it was a bad strategy here. I mean, I don't think there was a good strategy here. I think they're fucked either way, but
Yeah.
She goes way beyond that though. I think
let me sit in
definitely
your
there
lap,
were
queen.
yeah. Well, it's one thing I agree with you that like sometimes you're like, go fuck yourself, bitch, and then other times you're like, ah,
I'm scared. Yeah.
you know. And sometimes you say, go fuck yourself, bitch, and then
And then you run away.
no, and then you get into a road rage
Oh, that's true.
incident in Glendale. So sometimes it backfires when you go "Yeah," and honk your horn. So but like it's one thing for her to be like, oh, fuck you, buddy, when they're out on the street
Yeah.
and he's like being a creep. But it's another thing to sit in his fucking lap and touch him when he's just ogling your friend and you're stuck in a pizza shop together. Like, how
Yeah.
drunk are you? Jesus Christ. I don't know. That was a lot. The buy-in, I feel like, is also hard too because of that, because they're being such dumb bitches at the beginning in so many ways. Like the fact that Dawn did not have the doors locked to the fucking
Right?
car
Mm.
later on. Oh my God. I was not screaming because, again, Adam was asleep next to me and it was 5 a.m. But inside my mind, in the theater of my
Yeah.
mind,
I was raging.
so annoying. Also, just want to point out that this movie opens with a woman named Monica getting her face ripped off. So that was also deeply personal.
A little bitch ass bitch named Monica.
Yeah.
Sure.
Fucking so weird. I thought that was an interesting. I feel like that whole thing at the beginning with what we find out. Spoiler alert, I guess. That is Victoria. Yeah, whatever.
The sister.
The sister Victoria at the beginning, with her face.
And who thought they were gonna be gay at first? Just for a second there.
Just for a wee little
They waited
second.
until the end of the phone call to be like, okay, bye, sister, my biological sister. And I was like, come on.
I know.
Boring.
You were serving
Yeah.
tension for a second there.
I agree. I agree that I like that read. This movie could use something like that. That could be very helpful.
I've got lots of thoughts on that note.
But I think that the Victoria being like I don't know if it's like a mental break or what it is at the beginning when she rips off Monica's face. Monica is being a bitch, to be clear.
Monica said, I'd kill myself if I looked like that. So she
Yeah.
went, oh,
She was
word?
like, "Bet."
Okay.
Yeah,
Be in my shoes for 1 second and also die, bitch. So
exactly.
I'd probably
But
do
it
the
was-
same too.
It was giving what's her name? Okay, this is spoilers for Saw, but it was giving Saw
Oh,
to
Amanda
vibes to me. But also, I mean, again, don't remember what happens in Terrifier 2 because I was unconscious for half of it, so I don't know if that pays off. But it was feeling like, oh, like the trauma of what she experienced, like maybe caused her to like fall in line with Art the Clown or something like that. I don't know. We'll have
or
to
to
see.
just be like so detached from reality and consequences
Yeah.
of your actions, or like so like whatever happens to me after this doesn't matter anymore because my life is already ruined. So if I want to kill a bitch, I might as well kill a bitch.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? Send me to prison? Is my life gonna be so much worse? Blah blah blah. Like, and again,
Yeah.
she's very
She said,
early on her recovery journey.
"Fuck it, we
So like maybe
ball."
she would have gotten to a point where she's like, life is worth living. But she was not there at this point.
And she was also like, it was definitely felt premeditated too, because like, why was she back there in the fucking dressing room anyway after the whole thing was done? Like, it wasn't like she walked by and heard Monica say this and like went into a rage. She was already
That's
hiding
true.
behind the clothes racks.
She said
in-
Monica has bad vibes and
I'm
is
just gonna
problematic
eavesdrop on these
always,
vibes
so
and see what the real tea is.
I thought that Monica did a really good job of being professional in the interview and keeping it
Mhm.
under wraps that she's a huge raging cunt. I thought that she did a really good job of that. But yeah, I mean that was a killer start. And again, the gore is the highlight for me. Flashing forward to the next gore scene, I love the pizza stuff. I
yeah.
don't love the poopy. What was that? What did Art do? What did he do?
I
Did he
don't
poop all over? Was his bag filled with poop, or was he filled with poop? Like
It
he's
looks
wearing a
like
jumpsuit too, so he got fully naked in there, and he shit
Well, he
all
loves to
over.
get naked, apparently.
yeah. It looked some of it looked like beans too, and I don't know why, but I
He
don't
might just
know.
have some beans
We
on
don't know
him.
what's
He's a
in his
freaky
diet.
guy.
Right? Maybe he just can't digest beans like I can. Me, oh my god, me and Art
Maybe.
are
Oh my
so
God, you
just
guys are
come
similar.
out.
lettuce.
Just like beans. And he like wrote his name. That was pretty fucking funny. But like to go from the poopy scene and then I did love the head. I loved how many decapitations there were in this movie. Like I hope all of those people got to keep the heads and keep that in their house
I
for
always want a decapitated head of
A life
myself.
cast, yeah, of
Yeah.
your decapitate. I'll make one for you, Queen. I'll learn how.
I would
I
be too
skill.
scared maybe to put my head under,
Sure.
but I want one. So I don't know
after
how
that
that's
scene
gonna
in
work.
Maxine.
Yeah, we'll do it
I was
just like
always so
Maxine. You can have panic attack.
I was always so jealous of Jojo Wright from Kiss FM. He was in a bit part in a horror movie once, and he got decapitated, and he got to keep his head afterwards.
The
And he like
dream.
showed me pictures of it. It was so fucking cool, so cool. I want that so bad. I've also seen like this trend on TikTok. I don't know if it's a trend, but there's this creator who like made like a paper mache cast of their own face and turned it into a purse. So
Oh, I
it's like a
love that.
That's cool.
decapitated.
Love
Yeah,
that.
it was so fucking cool. It's so cool. So don't have the skills to do that, but maybe one day. But I loved the jack-o'-lantern head of the pizza man. I mean, he was nice for 1 second to the girl, to Tara, and was like, I'll get rid of this guy, don't worry. But don't forget that he's cheating on his wife, so he's not all good.
Oh my
Did you
God, there's
catch
so
that
many details I
phone
didn't
call?
pay attention to, maybe.
In the
I wanted
phone
to watch it
call,
a
he's
second time, but then I
on the
also didn't want to
phone.
watch it a second time, you know?
Fair, no,
Mhm.
truly fair. He's on the phone when you first meet that character, and he was like, "Oh, baby, are you wearing a sexy costume? Great." And he was like, "Yeah, I'll come over afterwards. What do you think I'm gonna do? Go home to my wife?"
Maybe that's a joke because he
Bitch.
doesn't have a wife, and he's like, "What am I gonna do? Go home to my imaginary wife?" Maybe
That would be
maybe
nice.
he's in pure love,
Yeah.
untainted by any sort of adultery.
Perfect.
He's a good man, Savannah.
He's
Okay.
he's a good man.
um, yeah, well, I would love that for him. But I just loved
Yeah.
that they cut out his eyes like a fucking jack-o'-lantern and the
Mhm.
little lights and the little fire and all of them. It's beautiful. That's very beautiful stuff there. And we love to see a big geyser of blood from a not decapitated, dismembered
Mhm.
arm. Oh,
Sure.
by the way, I did look it up, and the plot of All Hallows Eve is exactly that. It's two kids. They find an unmarked VHS in their trick-or-treat bags, and they're with a babysitter,
Mhm.
and they put it on, and it's 3 films, and they're all the other films, and they all have Art the Clown in it. And then at the end, he shows up
Hmm.
at their house. So that doesn't necessarily make it supernatural, but it
it doesn't
feels
not.
like it doesn't not. I don't know. Something to consider. Let's talk about the meat and potatoes here. There's no meat and potatoes. What's your favorite bloody thing that happened? What was your favorite thing where somebody died? I was so mad when he pulled out a gun.
Here's the thing.
I was like, no, I think that tracks. Of course, he's a clown, you know, like he's really committed to being
He's
a clown.
modern.
Yeah.
And I think that really is what is like special about this franchise in many ways. And again, I haven't seen any of the preceding stuff, but I had seen a quote on IMDb trivia from Damien Leone really praising what's his name again? David Thornton Howard or David Howard Thornton?
David Howard Thornton.
David Howard Thornton. Okay. Really praising him and saying like the first one that they had he did a good job, but he was like a guy dressed up as a clown. David Thornton Howard as Art the Clown is a scary clown. Like he's not a man dressed in a clown suit. He is a clown, and he has mime training
Yes.
that he
Yeah.
did
It always comes back to
independently from
mimes.
this movie. It does. But it's not like a Cole Sprouse for Lisa Frankenstein where he trained in mime stuff for that movie. It's like he had a mime background already. That's how he landed the role, because in his audition he decapitated a head and then tasted the blood, but then he like did a little extra bit that he improved of like, oh, he salted it so that like the flavor would be improved.
Thick and
So he was like being
twisted.
playful and like getting in, you know what I mean? Like that I think is really the deal here, is that Art the Clown is not just a clown because clowns are scary. He just, that's who he is. That's his thing. He's so committed to that
Mannerisms.
bit. Um, and so him being like, oh, I pull out my gun that I've had this whole time is very like, and 14 more clowns spilled out of the little car, and
Right.
the flowers squirts you in the, you know what I mean? Like it felt like a clown gag. So it maybe in another movie, if a villain had done that, you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But in this movie, it was like, no, that feels right. That
But
feels really
here's the
No,
right.
thing. I'm
you're
gonna
right.
say, right after he shoots like Tara in the face a bunch of times, and we see the crazy lady, it like pans to her, but it like looks at Art and he's like standing over the body holding the gun. I thought he looked very sexy. And I have
And that's something for you to address with your therapist
And that's why
outside
you
the
too.
podcast.
Yeah.
I'm using this podcast as my therapy session.
It's your birthday, Queen. You can do whatever you
It's,
want.
you know what? Go off, Queen. I get it. He is ripped. Later on, when he takes off all of his clothes, he is
Well,
ripped.
but that's my, I think, favorite like gore scene where, you know, Tara's already dead. Victoria is like wandering around. What kind of building is this? Like, is it an apartment building?
Condemned.
I
Just
don't
general
Like, it's got,
condemned
like,
building.
it doesn't look run down on the outside, and then on the inside it's disgusting. There's a wall of tires. Like, I don't know what kind of building it is, but like,
I
sure.
don't think it knows what it is.
But
I feel like it's been abandoned for a long time, and they're bringing in extermination to do pest extermination so that they can like fix it up and
Fix
make it
it.
into like, I feel like it's been dormant.
Yeah.
but I loved when the crazy
They call
lady
her
with
cat lady in the
Cat
script,
lady.
which was, I was like,
yes.
does she have a cat in the movie, or do they just decide that all crazy ladies are cat ladies? Or
Who's to say?
No,
I would
it-
have
She
called her
had
like
a
mother,
porcelain doll
maybe,
named
or like
Emily.
mommy. Yeah,
she
I thought,
came
you know,
out
whatever.
when
Oh, she's looking
she
for the
was
cat.
introduced when Tara is hearing all those weird deranged cat noises, and then
Does it imply
Cat
that she's
Lady.
making the cat noises?
I have a lot of thoughts about Cat Lady in general, but I don't know if we want to talk about them before we talk about her demise, but I was confused by her because I thought
Yeah.
maybe I didn't know if this place that they were was like a regular place where Art the Clown went, because like you get introduced to Cat Lady and she's like, "Oh, are you the new tenant, Tara?" So that adds to your to what you were saying, Chelsea, that you think they're fixing up this place for new things to come in. So maybe she's aware of that. She obviously is like squatting there. But later on when you when it shows her hearing Tara die and she's like, I guess the new tenant didn't work out. I thought maybe like she and like Art like had some sort of like
Understanding,
Right.
peaceful neighbor
understanding where like
situation where they just do their own thing.
exactly. That's what I thought was maybe going on, because why was she so chill with that? But I guess nothing makes sense in this movie, so it doesn't have to make sense that she was so chill about hearing somebody die. But then later on she like realizes that they're actually dead and she's really freaked out and wants to call the police. So I was like, what is happening? But
Yeah,
the
I
answer
think
is it doesn't matter.
I mean, I also think it's like she's just not necessarily fully in tune with the reality of the world around her sometimes, but
Yeah.
has like moments of lucidity,
Clarity,
especially when
yeah.
like startled into it by something. I think that I don't know. I also got the sense in the beginning that it was like she and Art kind of had like some sort of coexistence in this
Yeah.
area. And then I was kind of surprised later to see that that wasn't the case. I also thought that they were setting her up at one moment to be the final girl from the beginning. Because I mean, other than the fact that just like it could have been any dark-haired woman, in the beginning, they have the scene when Monica is backstage. They show like her desk and they've got like the flowers, blah, blah, blah. And then they have the attack scene and then they show that again at the end of that scene. And then when we get to the cat lady in her own environment, we have a very similar shot of like her items spread out on the desk. And it's not the same thing, but it was similar enough that I was like, is this meant to like invoke that scene and make us think about that scene and like have us come to some sort of just like have a mental connection between those two scenes? Now I think, I don't know, maybe it's just like a kind of shot that the director likes to establish, blah blah. I don't know.
Establish
But
things that the person
establish
has.
that someone has belongings. Yeah, I don't know. But
It was all just a ploy to have a spooky doll in this movie. They're like, we need a spooky doll. How do we get a
We
spooky
need
doll?
Emily.
We need Emily.
I love Emily.
I love Emily too. One of the most disturbing parts of the movie, though, besides the one that is the most disturbing part, we've just skipped over it. We'll get back to it.
We'll circle back.
We'll circle back. When she's trying to get Emily back from him, and she like becomes this mother figure for Art for a second there. The
You know what I thought
mommy
about?
issues in that moment.
I thought about Trap in that moment. And
Oh
and
my
the
God,
car
yeah.
scene. And I was
Dude.
just like, that's just like a fun little
Trap on the
connection
podcast
they've
when?
got. Trap on the podcast when.
But yeah, I
Fuck.
mean, Sydney, that now we've gotten to your favorite Gore part. Wow.
Yes, I love this because, like, again, there's 3 brunette women who all kind of look alike. I
Yeah.
wonder if that's a mommy issue thing for Art. Who's to say? Who knows?
He hates
This could have worked
brunettes.
for Mommy Issues May.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
maybe.
It really could have.
But we think it's maybe Tara because you just see the hair and we're like, oh my God, how is she still alive? There's no way that she's still alive. And then you're like, and then you're in the back of your head, you're like, oh, maybe it's that, the
Maybe
crazy
that
cat
lady.
lady. And then you see the cat lady says, like, Emily, like, stop, help me. And it pans to her. She's got no titties and she's scalped. And then
She also has no vagina, but we don't know that yet.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
notice that this time he also has her crutch on his crutch.
Yeah. Because
Don't you love that?
Art has now said, I would like to be a beautiful woman.
I'm so sorry. Chelsea's face right now is just so dejected. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at your pain. I feel you. I watched that Art this morning and I was like, oh, good. Oh, I didn't notice the last time that he cut off her vagina. Thank God that is, thank God. Oh, good.
God.
I'm actually really thrilled.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting. But
I
we
don't know,
do
The pussy
finally
torture in this
get
movie.
the pussy torture. But
Yeah.
yay, vindication from 2 episodes ago when I said I wanted Freddy
Yes.
to have titties in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Oh,
Yep,
good.
that was the thought.
That's what I
There you
wanted.
go. Art has
That's
titties
what I
now.
meant. This is what I meant for sure.
That's what you were looking for, right?
Yeah, it felt good to
To hit
see.
the spot?
Yeah.
It was just be careful what you wish for, Monica.
Okay, well, I think that Freddy would have handled it with grace, style and grace. But I do love how Art was feeling himself.
Oh, he was loving it.
Yeah. And again, plenty of room for discussion in that in one of our later segments. But it was interesting because I think it was kind of like long legs a little bit, in the sense of people saw this and had like a gut instinct reaction to like, are you trying to say something about trans people by doing this? And the answer was no, by the way. Spoiler, the answer was no. And we'll again talk about more of that later, but it was like, it really is just like Freddy business. You know what I mean? It is just like a silly guy being silly, goofy, and horrible. Um, but people were like, is this gender expression, but in a bad way? And it's like, well, first of all, it'd be in a good way, because again, he's feeling himself.
Gender euphoria, okay? He's having a good time.
I feel that. I feel that. There's the read for that. There's the read for it being trans positive and trans negative, trans derogatory. But I also, like, throughout this film and in the interview, Damien was like, people said these movies are misogynistic, and to them I say, okay, bitch. Like, he was basically like,
I
that's
have lots of women in my
preposterous.
family. Yeah.
He was like, I was raised by a single mother and my sisters, so that's ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. But like, we have to talk about it a little bit.
No man who has a mother could ever be misogynistic. I mean, I don't think he is, but I do think it's just like,
But
okay, girl.
That's like, I'm not racist. I have I know one black person. Like,
then you're immune from racism. Oh my god, thank God we solved that.
I mean, if the reality situation is, this is a like fucking almost grindhouse level, like, sexploitation film. And so like, it has a whole, that's what he was going for. It has a whole history. We are women in horror. So we are well aware that horror has come for women hardcore the whole fucking time. Who's your favorite bitch to kill? A woman. Or a black person.
woman.
Or a blonde woman. Yeah, that's the
slut.
shitty fucking history of horror. But like, this part in particular, like, obviously there is the whole Dawn kill, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to. Which is super vagina focused, you know what I mean? But this felt also like he was not necessarily like, yes, he's feeling himself, but it feels like he is mocking women to me in this, because he's being like, oh, it's like my hair, twirl my hair around my finger, walk around, be like, oh my god, where should I go? Where could she be? I don't know where she is. Oh, there she is. Like, it felt like that to me. It felt very mocking. And so that was almost like obviously it's really bad no matter what. Like, they chopped off her tits, her hair, her vagina, as we found out.
Did you guys realize that about Art the Clown, that he's evil? Could you tell? I thought it was really subtly done.
That part was just extra. That part, like, I was like, ugh, okay, and you're doing that. At first I was like, oh, he's feeling himself, and I was like, no, he's being like, look, ditzy woman. And I'm like, love you, Art, you're my guy.
To be a murderer, it's another to be rude about women. Okay,
It's another thing to mock women as you're wearing their vagina. How dare you?
If you're gonna wear her vagina, wear it respectfully. All right.
Okay, speaking of vaginas, let's talk about the Dawn kill.
The Dawn kill is super. You go.
I did go like, holy yeah, like, for a second, because I was like, whoa. When I first saw it, not this morning. This morning I was like, and here we go.
And here we go.
And here we go. But that's all I had to say so far. What were you gonna say?
Related to everything you were saying about like nudity and grindhouse and blah blah blah. Catherine Corcoran, who plays Dawn, actually wrote an essay about this scene, which was interesting. Because it gets talked about a lot in terms of nudity and sex in horror, because you can imagine why. Sure, and like, again, it's actually in many ways less explicit than like some other nudity scenes, because like, you see her it's a lot more implied actually than it seems until you see the booty cheeks. But the implications are horrifying enough. But she was really contextualizing it within the history of like sex and nudity and horror in a really interesting way. And she talked about sort of like the beginning of the slasher with Halloween and how Linda in Halloween was like one of those first examples, and a lot of what they were doing with like nudity and sex in the 80s is kind of the opposite of the way that it is like looked upon in pop culture sometimes, where
Mhm.
a lot of people like look at the slasher genre, especially, I mean, the rules of Scream, you know what I mean, to get into that is very like the slut dies and the virgin
Yeah.
lives. And if you watch Halloween, it's like the slutty girl dies, but Lori doesn't go on dates, so she gets to survive. And it's like that's actually not what they were trying to do. A lot of those themes were there to be like, not to say like slut gets killed, but to say like empowering woman gets to act however she wants to, and we get to show that on screen, and we get to portray it, and we get to allow these women to be feisty and ranty and whatever. And like, it's not a moral judgment on them that they get killed. It's a moral judgment maybe on the killer that they attack this
Mhm.
kind of person. And it's like, she said in there, in the essay, that a lot of it was a counter response to the Reagan era and AIDS epidemic through films such as Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, Return of the Living Dead, and Hellraiser. So sex and cultural identity were being branded as national terrors, and the genre synonymous with fear was exploring this. Um, but it's really interesting the way to like think about it in that capacity, because I think again a lot of the takeaway is not really framing it in that way.
Mhm.
But to have her be like a sexually empowered woman and to be outspoken and assertive and to like be the one who's taunting Art the Clown, even though obviously she later gets killed in a very horrifying, disgusting pussy split down the middle kind of way. um
And not
there it
metaphorically.
and not metaphor there, but they're not meaning to like make it like a judgment on that kind of person. um which is interesting because I think a lot of people take like morality, they're like looking for like the meaning
Yeah.
of the film, and this is very much like not even a film with a plot, let
No.
alone a
No.
lesson.
Yeah.
But you know, it was an interesting essay just to read, just to see like what she thinks about it as the person who's in the scene when the scene is like so often discussed.
Mhm.
um but she likes it as the takeaway. She thought it was the most dangerous scene she's ever filmed, but she seems cool with it.
I
That's
liked the
good.
scene. Like it was
So did I.
so visceral. I
Mhm.
had to, you know, protect
Cover
Oh
your
yeah.
myself.
pussy,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
was protecting
Let
the
me
pussy for
cup my
sure.
pussy, let me
and
get
it
You
was
her
literally
like,
safely
have to.
away.
but it was like, I'm sorry, if you wanted to torment me, slicing y'all up, pussy to, base of your neck. But
Through her
also,
head.
here's the
Yeah,
thing:
getting to like right here.
Art's ripped if he can like take a
A
little
handsaw, girl.
handsaw.
He's
Like
got something
That's the
supernatural
what a
going on.
terrifying way to
Art's
die.
ripped.
You're not only, first of all, he didn't need to tear her underwear away to split her down the pussy, but he sure did just so that you would have a little extra visceral fear watching at home or watching 5 feet away for Tara. He just really said, let me drive this home, how humiliating I want this to be and how terrifying I want this to be. And I just want your pussy to feel as vulnerable as I can possibly make it.
He said,
But what
"Pussy
a
out,
fucking
girly."
way to die. Like,
Yeah,
you're
it
dead
takes
way
so
before it gets here,
long.
obviously. But yeah, that's an extended,
And
and
her
you're upside
guts
down,
slopping
so like
out.
Yeah.
your blood isn't even flowing away with gravity. It just it has to fight gravity to get out of your body so that you can die from exsanguination. Like, well, maybe shock before. I don't
I don't even
know.
know.
She's
At least
probably
her boobs
passed
looked
out.
really good right before she died, though.
Her boobs
That's
did
one
look really
good
good
thing.
upside down.
Yeah. Poor
She's
girl.
beautiful.
I
She's a beautiful woman.
She is
Yes.
so stunning. Her eyes are so pretty. Um,
She looks so
what
familiar
was
to
it?
me, but I couldn't find anything that
She
she was
looks
in that I've seen, unless she really made an impression on me as like minion number one in an episode of Gossip Girl or whatever.
Here's the thing. She looks like Caroline from Vampire Diaries.
But I didn't watch that.
Really? Ugh.
Mm.
That's who I thought she
Oh.
looked like.
I was like, maybe she looks like Justine Lupe a little bit. Just because I just
know who
watched
that
Nobody
is.
Wants This. And she's also
I
Willa
wanna
in
watch that.
Succession.
I think also one note from the scene that I really enjoyed too was just like watching Tara's reaction. She's like horrified. Obviously, she's freaking out, but then there comes a point when she realizes that like Dawn's gone and there's nothing she can do, and she needs to worry about, she has to switch the focus to saving her own life again. Like halfway through watching her best friend get like ripped in half because she's like, well, fuck, she's fucking cut in half.
Like, there's
It's
no
over
That's
for
her out.
her.
She's dead. There's nothing
It's over for
happening.
her.
I have to save me now. And she takes that time very smartly, to break through the chair. She has her resurgence. Also, just want to note that they did the fucking House of Wax reference here where they're going for her fucking Achilles tendon earlier in the movie too, when he's stabbing her in the back of the leg. Fucking disgusting.
Well,
I
also just like
think
the chase, the car hide chase scene in general felt very House
Totally.
of Wax with Paris Hilton.
I think that was probably a direct reference because, like, again, in this interview, he was like, I put like a billion million horror references into this movie. So I feel like anything that we think that's
Is
true.
a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did y'all catch the Rosemary's Baby reference? It was like very brief.
Yeah, the laundry. Let's do laundry together. Oh my god, I had that was
Yes, I
watching
thought
and then I
that-
forgot it. But you're
I
so
had the
right,
same
Queen.
thought. Oh my god, yeah. Also, the one thing that was also hard, we already talked about how Tara is dead. She got shot a million times, but it just sucked too in that moment that she like felt so powerful.
Yeah.
She like really was gonna like teach him a lesson and like get back at him for killing Dawn. Like she's like, come and get it. She's like has the plank of wood, but
she's like, get up.
but don't you hate it when you bring a 2x4 to a gunfight? That's really
when they don't even tell you it's a
just
gunfight.
They didn't even
It's
tell
so
you it was a
unfair.
yeah.
But also,
that
too, if you get whacked in the face with a 2x4, like,
You're getting brain damage, girl.
like you're.
but he's superhuman.
I
Mhm.
know, but they didn't know that then. Know what I mean? Like, and there's
Yeah.
certain things too where Taylor and I were watching this last night, and he didn't do this, and I was just like, I would never just stab them once. I'm sorry. If I do that, I'm staying there, and I am like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
over and over and over
There
again.
were a
I've
lot
seen
of
Scream.
times, especially
Headshot.
when she gets him with the scalpel the first time, but then
Right.
she just like lets it go and runs away, and it's like, well, that's
Yeah.
gonna be. There are
Now
a lot of
he
those
has a weapon.
moments. Yeah. Well, it was his scalpel in the first place, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those times where it's like, stop hiding, girl. You gotta run. But then she runs, and you're like, don't run, girl. Stay in one place. And you know what I mean? It's just one of those
Yeah.
things where
Yeah.
there is no obvious right answer because whatever you're doing, it's gonna be the wrong thing.
Yeah.
True.
They go for the shock factor here every time over anything else. They're like, oh, pussy cut in half. Oh,
Pussy cut in half. Brutal.
Tara you thought she was your main character, psych bitch die.
I kind of felt like as soon as Victoria was introduced as like coming to get them, do you start to like imagine that she's gonna be the next thing? Or do you think that she's gonna be like a vehicle to Tara's torture like Dawn is?
I thought
I
they
knew
would at
she's
least
gone
be
for so
fighting
long.
together, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's what makes that scene later on when she finally like has to confront the fact that Tara is dead, the fucking holding the fucking circus sign
yeah,
to
that
her
was
corpse.
wild.
That was fucked up. And she just like cannot believe that her sister is dead. She's literally got 1,000 shots in her face, and she's still like, wake up, wake up. She cannot come to terms with it. And the fact, oh god, art is so disgusting. That fucking like whip he has that's like made of like
cattails.
scalpels and hair, I think
His
is what I
flail.
Or
read.
cat of nines.
Oh yeah, just like whipping her with that, so disgusting. I mean, there's also the other two guys who die. I like that their heads explode and get cut off. That's great for me.
I had thoughts about Mike the Exterminator. I
Mhm.
think maybe he's kind of sexy. I'm
I
not
think so,
sure,
too.
but I think he's kind of sexy. It was one of those things where I was like, you look like a man that I could fall in love with. And then I would think you're really sexy. But right now, you're just a nice man. Maybe I don't know. I was like really trying to be
bald
like, what
guy
are
or
my
the other
feelings
guy?
for the bald guy?
Yeah.
Because at first I was Sydney has said this to me before. She's got bald blindness.
do.
It's you just see bald, you know what I mean?
I do. I could not tell
And
you what this man looks like. I just know he's the bald one.
yeah, I just saw
There's a
bald at
beautiful.
first, but then the more I looked at him, I was like, I feel like if we fell in love, he might be sexy. But I that was one of the jump scares is like when Tara is like shouting at him, but he's got his headphones on,
Yeah,
and
that made
Art
me
grabs her. I thought Art was gonna get him. I was like waiting for Art to pop out and get him first. So when he got her, that startled me. But the injection in that scene, that's disgusting. I wanted to mention that because even if he doesn't kill her later on, like that disgusting, dirty syringe, she's gonna die of infection in less than a week anyway.
Yeah, she never had a chance.
Nope.
Whatever was in that was
Never.
gonna kill you, or whatever was on that was gonna kill you.
Because you know he didn't sterilize it.
It looked
No.
nasty.
Probably covered in poop and beans, like we discussed earlier.
Poop and
Like everything
beans.
he
Not
has is covered in
sanitizing.
poopty beans. Yeah. Too bad that Mike really tried to be a good guy. Like he could
Yeah.
have just left after he got bonked in the head. But he
Right.
went to go save Victoria, and that is very valiant. What am I saying?
Valiant.
Chivalrous, valiant.
Let me just switch words.
We're just gonna do a different word that I know how to say. It was good of him to do that, but I love it when somebody gets their head smashed and it goes smash like a melon.
Yeah.
It's always fun
He
to
really
see.
got stomped
And
in.
I think that later on when they're at the coroner's office and you really get to look at
Yeah.
that smashed head was cool too, because I love it when the yes I love it when the head explodes, but I'm like, okay, it's not like really how it works. But I like the realism of the like teeth in the back of his skull thing. I was like, ooh, nasty work.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a really good, we've said this before, but they did a really good job with the practical effects of this movie. It was very clear that that was one of the driving elements of making the film, is because they said that's our interest and that is what audiences are going to like best about this film.
That's what gives it authenticity in a way as a horror film, because it's like going back to the things that like OG horror fans love. Like I think it has a lot of young people who love these movies, but I think a lot of like Gen X people love these movies too, because it harkens back to like the horror movies of the 80s that they grew up on, you know? It's just going off the demographics. I saw it Midsummer Scream, so it could be wrong, but like
no, I think you're totally right. And I think it is also like it's tapping into that kind of B movie low budget thing also of like we just don't have the money to CGI this shit. So we have to do practical effects, which pushes us to get like really creative with what our practical effects are and what we can show and what we can do. And like in many ways, I think they're more effective viscerally for the audience than when you're getting the really intense, like bubbly CGI computer blood and the like squelchy sounds or whatever, you know what I mean, that they do with like movies more these days.
yeah.
So it was interesting to watch the gore in this capacity, and the comparison to torture porn films is interesting too, because it's like kind of that, and that is what the whole movie is, but it is also like
it's in that
it's
fun,
kind of not,
campy way.
Yeah.
It's not like the thing with
It's
the
not
early
hostile.
2000s horror movies is it's like just constant, you're watching the person be ripped apart, blah 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 blah, but no one's like ha 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 about it. Like it's deadly serious and it's gritty and it's desaturated and blah blah blah, all of those tropes of the Y2K horror movie that like kind of pull the joy out of it a little bit. They make it more serious in a way. Like there used to be extreme gore all the time in 80s horror movies, but it's like neon red blood exploding everywhere, and it's so not real looking that like it's just more fun because it's like because it's practical, because you can separate yourself a little bit. At least for me, I think that's part of the reason why it's more palatable for me and why I love body horror movies, even though it is horrifying and gross and whatever. Like those 80s ones are so funny the way they do it. Like Society comes to mind. Um so yeah, I think that's I think because Art is who he is too, and is such a silly Billy boy in his own way. He's very Freddy Krueger in his own way.
Mhm.
That makes it more palatable.
I thought one thing that I thought was interesting about this movie is that, like, I mean, it's kind of the formula in general, I guess, is that everyone just kind of ends up taking on or being killed by Art one on one. Like, even though you have a cast of characters where people could conceivably be together at points in the film, he really just kind of picks them off as individuals, other than that, like Mike and Victoria for like 1 second at near the end. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I kind of wonder how he would fare against an ensemble. Um, because like if they all stuck together in the pizza place, could they have had a chance? I don't know. But he manages to get everybody pretty much one on one, and then again, when he can pull out a little gun and have all of these surprise weapons up his sleeves because he's a clown, you're just kind of fucked.
There's a little bit more of an ensemble vibe in the parts I was conscious for in Terrifier 2. So he's still pretty strong then. But
Yeah, I'm curious about those. I don't know if I'm curious enough to like go see those movies, or if I'm just gonna like read the Wikipedia page, and then maybe if that piques my interest, I'll see the movies eventually. But like I am curious about this franchise in general, especially
I was
after
just
this one.
I was asleep for the part where he wears the cunty glasses
That was
in
a great
Terrifier
part.
2. And
Oh,
that
yeah, the
is the
flower
part
glasses,
that
that's a
I
thing.
really, yeah, that's the part I really wanted to see.
There's
Oh, I
an
So
had those.
I have to watch it again,
there's
or at
an
least part of it.
LED uh sign of Art in those glasses that has been sold out. Spirit Halloween, I am begging you, make it not out of stock anymore. It would look
Produce more
You'll
Spirit
get
so
pictures.
Halloween,
good in my
please.
office. Spirit
She needs
Halloween.
it.
I
She's
want it.
a
He
Terrifier
needs
enthusiast,
it.
as it turns out, perhaps.
I
I mean, she
want
picked for a
it.
birthday film, so
Yeah.
this is her birthday pick.
I need a birthday gift, Spirit Halloween.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we don't have to talk about every single second of this movie. I guess let's do thoughts on the grand finale. Oh, what did you think about he turning into a cannibal right there at the end and then unaliving himself?
Well, maybe he was just really in love with Victoria, because we all know that cannibalism is a metaphor
I want to
for
devour you. I want
I
you
yeah,
to
want to
be with me
devour you.
always.
bones and
I
all,
want to have you
baby.
inside of me.
I think it felt like they're like, what's the one thing we didn't do? Oh, he hasn't eaten anybody yet.
Cannibalism.
Easy. I think
One thing that I
also,
thought,
oh, sorry. I think for me, at least, I, for the whole time, was like, this is going to be like the story of that girl with her face ripped off, but I don't think it's explicit that it's the story of the girl with her face ripped off. It could be the same night because it's a year later, so it could
mhm.
be like a continuation of the night. Like he had fucked up that girl before, and now he's doing this shit tonight.
I think
And
that's kind of
so,
what they want you to think in the beginning of the movie, especially because he's like
exactly.
assembling all of those tools that we see him use later in the movie. I
Yeah.
guess maybe they got confiscated in police investigation. He had to start over.
Yeah. So it makes it seem like it might not be a flashback sort of situation, that it's just like a continuing on, trudging through time as we all do. So leaving her face, Victoria's face, like untouched, essentially. She's got some cuts from the scalpel whip. That like maybe is supposed to like throw you off until that last second. Then you're like, what is he doing? What could he possibly be doing? Oh my God, he ate her face. Holy shit. And I was like, well, no, yep. He's eating her face because that's the girl from the beginning. I knew it had to be one of them. So
Yeah.
that part didn't work on me, but I feel like it probably could have worked
Yeah.
for some of it. And you know, cannibalism is always shocking. And that's the point of the movie.
It is.
To shock.
The thing that I thought that was unfair in this movie, just because it doesn't really go with his whole shtick and it doesn't feel like a fun clown move. It felt like not in line with his character to pick up Don's phone and be texting Victoria like, oh, come around the back or whatever. I was like, I know texting is not talking, so it's like, you know, there is some separation of that, but that felt a little bit modern real person killer energy as opposed to paranormal psycho clown. And it's like not a big deal, whatever, you know what I mean? Obviously it's like such a small part of the
He's
film,
just trying
but
to
that to
lure
me
her back
felt a
there.
little bit like there could have been another way to do that.
That didn't really bother me, but I feel you.
He's
I just
like, he's
also
allowed to text. That feels like talking, and his thing is that he's mute.
yeah. I just what did you guys think about the unaliving himself part? Like
I love that
again,
he has a gun. I don't know. It feels so bizarre seeing a slasher killer with a gun
with a gun.
that it is so jarring that it works.
Yeah, I think and again, he is some sort of supernatural entity or has some sort of supernatural qualities at the very least. So like there's certainly an argument that you can make that is just like, you know, it's a good exit point for the situation where he's like, if they think I'm dead, they're gonna give me a chance to escape later. And they're not gonna be watching over the body. So like that's how I'll do my exit. And also it just feels like a dramatic moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like he's like, this will be a good finale to the scene, is I'll just kill myself in front of them. So like
He's like, I'm tired. I don't need to slash any more people right now. I'll just mentally traumatize them.
yeah.
Yeah, that was fine with me. And I did think the little gotcha moment in the coroner's lab was pretty funny too. Like that dialogue was funny. They're like, oh, you want bacon? Oh, then of course I had to be like, once you've seen a baby that's been microwaved, then you can
Oh
eat
yeah.
bacon
Right?
while you're doing corner shit. Ah, God. Ugh. Gotta add that in too. It's just this is a hard movie for me because it does all the things that I hate, but I still had fun.
It is
But
kind
it
of
does,
slaying, but
Yeah.
yeah, is it the kind of
it's
film you would choose to watch?
no. I think that I was right in not watching it. But but watching it again, sitting with Sydney on a couch on a Friday night after drinking a little vodka lemonade.
After
That
being at a horror convention, you're in the
perfect.
right mood.
Perfect. When I go see Terrifier 3 in theaters, I will be drinking while watching the movie. I think that's the only way. Do not want to be high for these movies. I'm sorry.
I
Flavor
don't want to be
blasting. What do we usually say?
supplemented.
I don't want to be supplemented. No, absolutely not.
I was supplemented last night and I was
I
like,
was trying to be.
there was at one point when it started to like kick in that I was so anxious that I buried myself in Taylor. I was like,
Mm.
it was
What?
right.
Yeah. What did he think?
Oh, I think he had a good time.
Oh, he said, "I love this movie. Mwah, gorgeous."
Well, he was like, it was late. He was like, let's watch the second one. And I was like, I am
So he was
too
vibing. He's like, "Let's
cooked.
watch the second one right
Right.
now."
I was like, I'm too cooked right now. I cannot handle
Yeah.
this. So we must space it out. But we'll
This-
watch the second one because I'm gonna make him go see the third one in theaters with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's
There
fair.
was a
The second
moment,
one.
this is a call out for the Regal Cinema's website. Um, if you go on the Regal Cinema's website and you look at their showtimes and you select by format and you say, show me the 40x screenings, it shows you a zillion movies. And so I was like, oh my God, look at all of these movies I could see in 40x. How exciting. I want to see Terrifier 3 in 40x if I'm going to see Terrifier 3.
What even would
No.
that be?
Well, Smile 2 is playing in 40x, and I'm gonna make Monica go see it maybe. But the way they do it is they'll show you like the one movie that's playing in 40x, and then they'll just list all of the other movies. So you're like, look at all of these options. No, you don't.
Their website is so fucking
They're
dumb
tricking
with
you.
that. Yeah, I know, it's
But
super messed up. I just also want to point out really quickly, another reason why maybe I never will watch Terrifier 2. It's 2 hours and 18 minutes long. The
I know.
only reason that I like this, I would say I like this movie probably maybe. I like it minus like it question mark in parentheses next to it. I don't know. I feel weird.
I like it.
It's 1 hour
really
and
big asterisk.
I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah. 15 asterisks next to it. It's 1 hour and 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
2 hours and 18 minutes for the sequel.
Here's my thing. I'm
Go.
sorry, no movie needs to be that long. And even though, like, because I remember after watching Terrifier 2 being like, why did it need to be just like The Substance? I was like, I like the first one more. Like, the second one is objectively a better movie, but I like the first one more because it's shorter.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
I don't
really
even know.
seem to move into regular move based on the trailer for the third one. It seems like they're just doing typical movie stuff at that point. You know what I mean? Like it's lost its low budge charm. It's big budge now. But
Well,
I think that's just the
the second
Hollywood
one they tried to
machine.
do like so much fantasy lore shit. And yeah, they went so hard into that. I know that
Paranormal
still just
activity status.
they went so far into the lore and the fantasy and the supernatural of it all. There's like this weird like
Maybe
other
great
clown
grandma never
character.
had a male son
Yeah.
for 5 generations. And
It's like no,
sold-
yeah.
yeah.
It's like Hell House LLC 2 or whatever. They're like
I definitely thought about
actually
Hell House LLC watching this too.
Yeah. It's clowns, spooky clown wearing
Clowns.
black and white. There you go. But yeah, they go so far into that. Even in the interview that I listened to, Damien was like, "Yeah, we went really far into that in the second one,
He
and
called
we're
it
rolling
his,
it way back for the
he-
third one."
he called the second one his like dream warrior film.
Oh yeah, that
Oh.
scans. That totally
Yeah.
scans. From the nightmare I had, that was when I was sleeping while watching it. It felt very much like Dream Warriors. Okay, are we ready for our
Segomuntos? Or Thelamun?
Tayamunos? What was it? Spotify is
What's
doing
this?
a new thing if you haven't seen where it was like auto sorting into chapters. And they're trying to guess what our chapters might be. And the one that we think is Segamontos was Tayamontos, is what they thought we might be saying. So
Hilarious.
Here are
the segments are now called our
Tayamontos.
Tayamontos.
I wish instead it said, how could this movie be gayer? That would be better. But that's what we're asking now. Chelsea, you said you had thoughts?
Yes, I think first of all, Tara and Dawn have tension, and that's part of why in the beginning it's so like, I'm mad at you because you were flirting with the guy all night and all these guys kept buying you drinks and you were accepting them and getting drunk and you weren't even supposed to be drinking. You're supposed to be driving us home. So it's like, I'm mad about that, but I'm also mad that you're getting all of this male attention. And that's why I'm being like, ugh, they just want you because you're pretty or whatever. Like, Tara is having some experience where she is like, I think she has feelings for Dawn that Dawn does not reciprocate. And so she's like
I could
mad that
feel
she
that.
has these feelings, and so she's being like kind of a bitter bitch about it because she's not really willing to interrogate what's going on within herself. So she's being like, actually the problem is Dawn, and that Dawn is too sexy hot. Um but they definitely like they had that was the thing. That was when Victoria was popping up. I was like, Tara's in love with her friend Dawn. And then here's her other friend who's had to hear about it and is so sick about it and is like, I don't want to go out with you. I don't want to spend time with you and Dawn because you're so annoying around her. And like, I got like kind of ex-girlfriend vibes from them. I don't know. That's what I wanted it to be. I wanted them to be ex-girlfriends who like maybe it didn't work out the first time but could have gotten back together. They were like close to it and like this is just thing worked okay, and like it gives them a big connection to each other and a big commitment to like I'm gonna go so far to like looking for you and having deep emotional feelings about you finding you dead, blah blah blah. I think ex-girlfriends could have worked for that too. Could have been fun.
Well, here's some important information.
Okay.
I was looking at the IMDb photo for Jenna Cannell. Is that how you say it? Maybe. Jenna Cannell. I'm going to commit to that. She plays Tara. And I looked at her profile picture and I was like, she looks gay. Guess what, bitch? She is queer, sexual orientation queer. And her pronouns are she, they. So that's exciting. And
She was in
also,
Renfield.
she was in Renfield. We have watched the movie with her before, so that's exciting.
Yeah,
So
I
maybe
was like, who's Carol in Renfield? And she's that girl in group who's like, can I borrow
yeah,
one fucking share? Because she kept getting
that's
interrupted
so
by
funny. I remember that part.
supernatural lore elements.
Yeah, so she's great, and maybe she's bringing a little bit of her personal experience to the character. She's got the same subtext that she brought that subtext to the movie. I feel that. And I like that for it too. And I also just can't get over, like, here's a gay thing about the movie. I feel attracted to her in that fucking skeleton outfit. That is such
Well, she looks
a cute.
incredibly hot.
She looks so hot. And also, just want to point out part of it that you can't really see. It has a hood that is the skeleton face. And I think it might zip up or it might not zip up. But either way, it has a hood, which makes it more emo-y vibes, and I like that. And
I liked
she
the
kills
suspender elements of it where it like clipped onto the
Yes.
stocking so it like really connects them and like really gives the like skeleton vibe aesthetic. I thought that was a fun detail.
Definitely. And then I mean, there's obviously the read for a queer Art the Clown, but I don't want him to be a part of the community. I'm kind of mad at him.
I don't think he's part of the community. I think he just doesn't exist within our societal roles or standards or expectations. And so he's just kind of doing his own thing.
He's fluid.
But yeah, I mean, I see why people would see him putting titties on and dancing around and like, there is a sort of room to jump to Buffalo Bill with that, when Buffalo Bill is like standing in front of the mirror and like the tuck and being like, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. So like
definitely. I bet that's the reference there.
Yeah, and like that's easy to see. And it's easy to imagine when you see a villain doing that is it perhaps like you're saying that people who might ever behave in such a way are villains? Like I can see again that connection, but again, I don't really think that this vibe is bringing any kind of transphobia in this movie. I think he's just a freak bitch, being his freak bitch self in whatever way he can possibly think of.
He's just looking for somebody to match his freak.
Just like Silence of the Lambs, though, as they said in that movie, Buffalo Bill is not trans. So
yeah, remember?
yeah,
Yeah,
remember
so
that they said that? So that made it not transphobic. There you go. There you go. The answer has been
There
answered.
you go.
Any more gay thoughts you'd like to share?
So many more gay thoughts.
do
Okay,
you think Mike and Will have ever explored each other's bodies?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
When he's like all mad at him, and then he's like, wait a minute. Almost saving his life, by the way. He's like,
Almost.
wait a minute. I know my man. Picks up the thing. There's the key. Of course he wouldn't leave me high and dry. That felt very lovey.
Those
That
are
felt
lovers.
very, my man, my man, my man. He's like, why was I so mad at him? He would never lock me out. That's my Mike. So funny. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, it's time for Matthew Lillard. Where would he fit into this film? My immediate thought, protect him, keep him away from this franchise.
Or two places that I think he would be good in. One, I think he would be a great exterminator.
Yes. These would be
Two,
great.
he could be one of the like paramedics that it was like the guy and the girl, and the girl was, and the guy one was like, yeah, sure, I'll bring you that bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich to the corner. He could have been that guy.
I think that he should have been the pizza man, so he could have had a cool decapitated head of himself that he can have that has a little place for candles. Just I would like him to have that if it's something that he wants, you know?
I could see him being, what's his name, Ramon as well, where he's
Yeah.
like scrubbing the shit and just like bitching about it and being like, yeah, real sanitary to have the guy who handles the food do the cleanup here too. Like
That would be perfect for young Maddie. That'd be so perfect.
he's got this the literal shit work on scene. So
Okay, that brings us to our dumb bitch. And for me, unfortunately, it has to be Dawn just because of the sitting on him thing. You shouldn't touch anyone you don't know
yeah.
and sit on their lap. Especially a murderous clown.
I vote Dawn and Tara for not drunk driving. Dumb.
I
so
can't
weird.
co-sign.
Can't co-sign that either, but it's so weird that like the soft moral of the movie is maybe you should.
Maybe you should.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
What are
Important reminder, as this is the week where you're partying for Halloween, don't drink and drive. From everyone here
Yeah.
at Spooky Tuesday, call
Use
an
the
Uber, even
Ubers.
if Art the Clown is there, or a Lyft. Or, you know what? Here's something that I wanted to say. The whole point of this movie is a cautionary tale saying, you see this cities across the United States and the world, if you don't have public transit systems that run late at night to get people safely home, this is the shit that can go down.
Or public restrooms. If she had like
Yeah.
an easily accessible public restroom, or if she just peed in the street, maybe the moral is pee in the street.
That's another good moral too. But I mean, if they didn't lock their fucking doors when they're in their
Yeah.
car, they still would have been killed either way. God
But again,
damn, the
I
moral of
kind
the
of feel
story
like
is lock your doors.
if they'd been able to stay together, would they have had some immunity against attack? I don't know, because we didn't
It's
really
always
get a
better
chance
to
to
not
see,
be alone.
you know?
So
Yeah.
it would have helped a little bit.
I will
But-
say, while again, Dawn was exhibiting some real dumb bitch behavior, I think the fact that this takes place on Halloween, you do get like a little more leniency for that, because like if you see somebody dressed up as a scary clown on Halloween as opposed to any other time of the year, you know, it's like you want someone to be into their costume and to be like really committed to that. You know what I mean? Like on Halloween, if you see somebody scary being a freak bitch, it's kind of exciting and fun, and you're kind of like happy about it to a degree.
You still don't sit on them.
You should not sit on them. But like when they're out on the street, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, he's
No,
just staring at us and wait. Like
I said
David
earlier,
Thornton Howard did that while filming. It's like two ladies were fighting on the street at one point, and he was like, I don't know, waiting to film or whatever. And so he like did a scary wave at them because just he was like, this will be fun. Like I'm having a good time. But
no, like I said earlier, that part I think is totally excusable. It's just later on when her friends obviously freaked out
it's
and
like
they're in
let
the
me
pizza
antagonize
shot, then
him.
it's gone
Let me
too far.
engage him. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time for our knives out of fives. So Chelsea, set the scene.
Again, this was a limited release, low budget movie. So, on IMDb it has 5.6 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 60% fresh from critics, but there are only 25 critic reviews, which is like a relatively small number for a movie that has like a wide release in theaters kind of thing. So it's just like a much smaller group. But it was interesting to me after looking on IMDb to see that it was fresh, 60%, so just barely, but still. But then it was 53% rotten from audiences. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. A lot of movies get low scores, but are much beloved. And kind of in that note, this movie got some acclaim at the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards and the Fright Meter Awards. It was interesting to see that it's the 2019 Fangoria Chainsaw Awards and the 2018 Fright Meter Awards. And this movie on IMDb says it came out in 2016. And then an article that I read said it came out in 2017. So I'm like not really sure what its like actual timeline was
A lot of the
in that
time,
regard.
it's like the date is like the date it premiered at
When
like
it
a
first,
festival.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think that this was probably at like a film festival maybe, and then when it had its very limited release,
And then it came
was
out like
much later on.
2017. But
Yeah.
the 2019 Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, that really was interesting to me because I was like, you're almost like butting up against the sequel now, which came out just a few years after that. But anyway, at the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, it was nominated for Best Limited Release, Best Supporting Actor for David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown, and Best Makeup FX. And then at the Fright Meter Awards, David Howard Thornton won Best Actor. And it was the runner-up for Best Makeup and the runner-up for Best Special Effects. So like it was really recognized for its strengths for sure when it came out. But it was kind of like a smaller low budget release that I don't know, did it take a while to find its audience? I'm not sure because again, it had some built in with all the stuff that came before, but
Well, especially
obviously
because
popped off.
this movie came out in 2016 and the second one didn't even come out until 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So slow burn. We love a slow burn. Who wants to go first?
Go first. It's Sydneypalooza. And so I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Here's your birthday pick.
But also, like, this movie is so fun. Like, I do not care. It has no plot. It is like, it has all the great gore. It has great costume designs. It has that gritty feel. Like, it takes place in like kind of one, technically two, but like the pizza place, it's all in the same area, right? So it's like very contained, which I like in a horror movie. I have some questions, like what is this building? What is the layout of this building? I would like to know. I don't give a shit about art's background, quite frankly. Sometimes I do think the supernatural element is a bit of a cop out a little bit, where I'm like, I just kind of want this to be a really fucked up man. But I get that they need that if they want to make it a franchise. So I get that. I get it. But also, maybe art could have been like a new person. Know what I mean? Where it was like when one art dies, a new psychopath picks
new
up the
art is
art
born.
Santa
clown.
Claus.
Right? Like, so I don't know. To me personally, like a human is more scarier than like a supernatural thing. But just like
Sure.
I don't know. There was that one scene where I was like, oh no, is art sexy? So
She's really going
I
through
didn't
it on
really like seeing
Sydneypalooza.
his body in the sense that I
that
like him
wasn't the
in the
scene.
full
It was
costume.
after he shot the
Oh
gun.
yeah.
I'll send you the screenshot of what I'm
Okay.
talking about. I'm like, this did it for me, actually.
Okay. Curious to see. I don't know. Yeah, I mean when we saw his body at all, I was like, actually put that away. I only want to see you in clown costume. Like, it's not that there's anything wrong with your body, but it's like I don't like thinking of you as a human person, which arguably he's not. Again, I don't really know what that deal is.
No
But
one
even
knows.
though like technically you see him in the beginning when he's putting his makeup on and you can see like his human flesh toned skin, and his little fingies are out. He was so monster to me that it was like almost like confusing to see him have a human body underneath and not, I don't know, be a void in there. I don't know. But overall, there were some interesting things about this film. We actually didn't end up talking about it that much, but I did really like this scene with the cat lady and unmothering him and like how I thought she gave a great performance. I thought she was like
Totally.
moving in that moment. And apparently she moved David Thornton Howard to tears filming that scene because she was like
Yeah.
really fucking selling it and he was touched. So that is cool. I liked that. Oh, did you send the picture?
I did.
Okay, I want to see.
It's something that I can't relate to, but I wish you well on your journey.
And it was like, I don't know. And he's also covered in blood a lot. It's doing it for me. I don't know
Okay.
why. Here's the
Good.
thing.
I love
I'm
that
not
you
gonna
love
yuck your yum.
it. I love that
What
you love it.
you
I
know
love
that
that you had fun.
smash. You know, maybe I'll do a smash cake, but it's my birthday cake and it's just Art the Clown.
Oh, the hear me out cake.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like how babies on their first birthday get the cake just to smash it. And
Well,
I was like,
before they were
I guess.
called Hear Me Out, they were called smash cakes
Okay. Which,
because
because it's like, here's who I'm gonna smash.
yeah,
Here's who I would
like
smash. That makes sense.
smash. So it was a play on words. So maybe I'll do a funny
Sydney's always
birthday
been a monster
smash.
And it's
fucker, so this is
I
no
have been a monster
surprise.
Yeah.
fucker.
You know what? That's so real.
But keep going, Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean I watched it and I see why people would be really into this and would be really excited about it and would be super jazzed to like jumpstart this into a franchise and want more and more and more. There were parts of it that I thought were really well done. And I thought it was like they made a good movie with the resources that they had to make a movie. It's not necessarily my kind of movie. Again, I am curious now about the franchise, but I don't know how curious I am. So we'll see. We'll see if that's something that I like want to invest time into in that capacity. You know what I mean? Because there's so many movies these days and there's like a bajillion online and on streaming and in theaters. It's a crazy year for horror movies. So we'll see where my time gets invested. But I am interested in it. I don't think it was a bad movie. It's not like when we watched Hills Have Eyes and I was like, I literally don't even see what there is to like and I don't see why anybody would like this. It was like I see what's here. I see the appeal. I see how a different Chelsea might vibe with this and there's fun elements. So I think I'll probably give it like a 3.5 knives out of 5s. But it's like, okay, now that I've seen it, I actually never need to see it again, maybe.
Totally. I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give it a 3 though. Underneath, I'm gonna go a little lower. A loving 3. I've given movies that I liked a lot a 3 before. I had a really good time with this the first time, like I said. Again, mimicking what Chelsea said, I could totally see what people like about this, and also mimicking what Chelsea said. It's not necessarily what I look for in a film. But I loved the gore. The gore was really cool. It was done really well, even when it made me deeply, deeply uncomfortable. But again, this is just the type of movie that you don't watch at 5 o'clock alone in your bed in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's just not that movie. This is like a party movie, a friend movie, an in theater experience movie. And if I watch them
Imagine
like
having
that,
this on volume down at a party and people just glance over and somebody's getting sawn down the pussy. You know what I mean? Like you'd be kind of like
oh yeah,
like people go crazy.
perfect. Maybe I'll put it on during my Halloween party this year.
Do it.
Because it's free on Prime, so seems like a good idea. But yeah, it's not necessarily the one for me. It definitely is a movie that I don't feel I love more every time I see it. I think I like it less every time I see it. And so that's fine. That's fine. I'm really glad I watched it though, because I want to know what the hell is
I
going
wonder
on.
what
It's
the
the horror
deal is.
community.
Yeah.
I want to know what the deal is.
Let me
It's
be dialed in.
interesting. It's fun. It's certainly fun. It's certainly fun. And it's balls to the wall, and I love that. So I don't know if I'll watch Terrifier 2 again, just because there's no one to watch it with me, and it's 2
I
hours and
was
18 minutes long.
if
So
we
we'll
maybe we'll
see.
do that one day. Maybe we'll do because I'm
Okay, if you
curious.
want to watch it together, that's the only way it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
I don't want to watch it by myself.
No, thinking about it
So
right now, watching it, I was like, maybe I'll watch after this, and I was like, or maybe I'll die. Maybe I'll throw
yeah.
myself in the street. Those are equally likely things to occur. So yeah, maybe together. But I will definitely see Terrifier 3 in theaters.
Then you need to
Because
watch
even
the
if I
second
see,
one again because it kind of plays off the
I don't care.
second
I do
one.
not care about this franchise. I will go in and not know what's going on. I don't give a shit. I really couldn't. I really won't. That like I feel like if I saw it in theaters by myself but there's a bunch of people there, then I'd still be
Have that
okay. But
communal
again,
experience. Yeah.
Chelsea, if you want to go with me, you just let me know
We'll
because that would be
see. We'll
better.
see.
But yeah, that's
If it
it
was in
for
40x, maybe.
mm, that's it for Terrifier. But that's not it for Sydneypalooza. We love you, Sydney. Happy birthday,
Happy birthday,
baby.
Susan!
Happy birthday, Sydneypalooza. But next week is an exciting week. What's happening, Chelsea? You tell them, girl.
Thank you.
You let them know.
I have been trying to get this movie on the sketch for a minute. And we played around with the idea of letting our patrons vote on this next episode to see like what childhood Halloween movie should we do for Halloween. But I knew that we're not going to pick my fave, so I said, actually, well, we're going to save the vote for later. We're going to vote another time. Because I
And
really
she did
wanted to do.
similar thing here in the Democracy of Three here for Spooky Tuesday.
Sometimes we're just like really scared of Chelsea, you know?
I
Even though
wasn't
Chelsea got
gonna
2 birthday movies
look.
and Sydney did not. I'm just saying.
Well, we did record on my actual birthday, so I feel like that's fairsies. But I wasn't going to stand in the way of one of your picks. I just wasn't going to hop on board, and you guys seemed to want support, and I was happy to bulldoze. So what we're doing is the Olsen twins classic, Double Double Toil and Trouble. It is really fun. It is like witchy Halloweeny. It's cute. It's a throwback, but it's like, I don't know. I own it on I bought it at one point because I was like, I need to be able to watch this movie every Halloween. It's cute, it's fun. Monica doesn't have the childhood nostalgia of it, but maybe you're gonna see what's so great. Maybe you're gonna latch on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited.
It's
I've
cute.
only seen the volcano one of the Mary-Kate and Ashley
The
movies.
volcano.
I
Oh, is
think
that
there's a volcano one. That's one of my
like-
very few childhood memories. But I love the Olsen twins. They're very near and dear to my heart and other things in my life, which I won't go into. But we went to the same school as them. How about that? And so I
It's a
saw them all the
secret.
time when I was a child.
It's a secret.
I literally physically saw them all the time when I was a child, but I did not watch their movies. And I haven't seen New York Minute. I haven't seen any of those. So
New York Minute is okay. The best one is It Takes Two.
I don't know if I've seen It Takes.
And Our Lips Are Sealed is also a classic.
Yeah, that's the
But-
Australian one, right?
Yeah.
I
where
love
they're
that
in
one.
witness protection.
That one's great.
I don't know.
Oh, Billboard
had the
Dad is my
volcano
favorite.
one.
Billboard Dad slaps.
I might have seen Billboard Dad.
I
I don't know what
own
my parents were
Billboard Dad.
doing. But anyway, it'll be fun. And it'll be a Halloween episode. Before Halloween, we get 5 weeks of Halloween this year. So it's extra
Yay.
exciting. So I'm excited. And also, have you been following along with our 31 days of Halloween? We're doing that. It's very exciting. There's 31 days. There's 31 movies that you could be watching along with us. It's
There's
very
32,
exciting.
technically.
Whoa. There's 32?
Yeah, because you get a Halloween double feature.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, what do you mean there's 32 days in
There's always been
October this
32
year?
days of October.
I was
Didn't
like,
you
is
know that?
leap year shit that I've never heard about? My God, what's happened?
Every
but yeah,
2024 years, you get 32 days in October. So it's our first one, but we're really jazzed about it.
well, you should go to our website, spookytuesdaypod.com, and you can find our 31 days of Halloween. So you can follow along with us and also look at our website and be like, wow, that's nice.
Wow. Beautiful
That's
website.
so nice. Chelsea, you said that they don't do poll questions anymore on Spotify, right?
You can, it looks like you can still put one up. I put one up for the last episode, but I couldn't find it when I was looking at it from the user end. So I don't know. I just don't know.
Okay, well, if there
Look
is a
from your
poll
phone.
question, what about doing what is your favorite gruesome death in Terrifier? Is that good with you guys?
Sure.
Would you drink and drive to prevent yourself from being
No.
brutally
No.
tortured?
No, we're not doing that. Let's incriminate our listenership.
Listen, cops
Um,
know better than to listen to our podcast.
Oh, well. Oh my God. Remember that time that a cop announced our podcast to a whole bunch of other cops? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes,
because
I
of
do
you,
remember
you
that.
I was
are-
at have I told this story on the podcast? I was
I
at
don't
like
think
a
so.
I was at like a chamber of commerce luncheon, and I was at a table with a nice policeman. He was nice. And we were talking about horror movies, and I told him about the podcast. And then he got up on stage later on and it was a cop luncheon. I'm so sorry. It was for my job. I'm so sorry. He told all the cops. He told literally all the cops. He was like, you should look at Monica's podcast called Spooky Tuesday. He said that to all the cops. How many times have we said
And then
ACAB on
immediately
this
every
podcast?
other episode, it's like, fuck cops.
Every single episode. Oh my God. And I was like, hey.
Listen to it
Don't
later
worry,
once
Ernie.
I've left the function. Don't look
I
at it
don't
right
worry about
now.
it. Very, very alarming. Very alarming. Anyway, there's some lore for you. Why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we're at Spooky Tuesday Pod. I already plugged the website, but that's spookytuesdaypod.com. We're also on YouTube, and oh my God, I'm wearing a top hat today,
She
and
looks like a cute
Hell
little
yeah.
clown.
I did cute version of Art the Clown. You can't see my eyebrows, but there they are. They look
There they
horrible.
are. Ugh, I've been wishing I could see them this whole time.
Whoa. And
But I knew they
as
were
this-
there, so that worked for me.
You can watch the whole episode and watch as my eyeliner slowly dissolves the whole time because it's been slowly sloughing off my face. And also Chelsea is wearing a very cute jacket.
Yeah,
that
I'm
I
wearing
also
a
have the
country
same
jacket that I felt was like Art the Clown vibes because of
It's
its
all black and white.
strong geometrical black and
Uh-huh.
white,
It's just
etc.
all black
Also-
and white.
Also, debut of Chelsea's new setup for the pod, where
Oh
she
my
sits
god!
cute little lesbian Halloween things
Ooh,
all
ooh.
around her. Very, very cute. And God, Sydney's the birthday girl, and she's glowing. She's
beautiful.
just glowing. And
She's
you would only
stunning.
know that if you were subscribed to our YouTube. So you always know that Sydney's glowing, but you wouldn't be able to see it unless you're subscribed to our YouTube. So get on it.
Yeah.
And we have a Patreon. And it's really tons of fun, especially during Halloween, because we're all watching horror movies every single day and we're learning about new horror movies every single day. And we're joking about horror movies every single day. And
we're also
uh,
discussing how 34 is in fact not actually old.
34 is
every
the
single day.
youngest and sexiest age I've ever heard.
34 is an
Yeah.
incredibly young age, Leo.
Yeah, I'm 34 now. Suck it.
It's a beautiful
a
age.
beautiful-
And
Girl, what a beautiful age.
what a beautiful age. What a beautiful Discord channel. Join us on Patreon. And at the end of the day, I have to say thank you for listening. See you next Tuesday.
Best spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.